Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and what we're doing is we're looking at the lunar eclipse, which is going to happen at 8 degrees of Gemini in the coming hours. In New York, USA, it's going to happen at 4:30 a.m. on November 30th, and it will be 9:30 a.m. in London, UK. So what I want to do is just talk to you a little bit about the aspects currently, and then I'm just going to run you through some definitions and meanings so you can begin to dig into your own chart. And what we have at the moment, this chart is now the 29th of November the 29th, and I'm going to take it forward by a few hours so that we get the moon exactly opposite. If you can see here, the moon is at 4 degrees, so we're going to go 1 hour, 5 degrees, and you've got it at 6 and 7, we've got 8:10, and we've got 8:35 up here, the sun. So now let's just do a few minutes. It's great having solar fire because we can get to the absolute point of being where we need to be on the chart. So I just wanted to show you how this moves. So we've got 37 we want of the moon. And there you go. So this is where we're going to have this eclipse. The eclipse is just going to happen a little while after. It's going to happen at 8:38, 8:45 actually, I think, degrees. So, but this is where we've got this full moon in Gemini at 8 degrees. So what we've got going on at that moment, we've got the sun opposition the moon, and that's what a full moon is. And then we've got the sun trining Mars. So if we look at the sun, it's trine to Mars. Let's have a look here. Mars is down here. You can see up here, it's going to be trine. And then we've also got the sun quincunx in conjunct to Uranus. So the sun is in conjunct, you can see there, to Uranus. So that's a hard angle and something can't be seen. Mercury is sextile to Jupiter. Mercury is sextile Saturn. And then we've got Venus opposition Uranus. I've done a video about that the other day. So you see here, that's an opposition, Uranus to Venus. And then we've got Mars squaring Pluto because that's kicking back in. So we've got the Mars square to Pluto up here. And then we've got Jupiter conjunct Saturn, Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and Saturn conjunct Pluto as well. So the nodes are sextile to Mars, and the node is also square to Neptune. The nodes are square Neptune, and this is extra work, you know, to look at these things. So I'm not going to do all of that now. Lilith, I've been looking at the last week, which is fascinating because it's the shadow and the collective shadow and our own personal shadow. And that's opposing Venus right now. So you can see there, we got Venus opposing, and we've got this conjunction to Uranus and Lilith. And we've also got Lilith square to Saturn, and Lilith is also conjunct Uranus, which I've just said. And we can go on, but that gives you an idea. So when we look at the eclipse, I will say that we have this lunar eclipse coming up in the coming hours. And then on Monday, December the 14th, we have a total solar eclipse in Sagittarius. That's the final one of the year. And it's basically what we have going on is energetic shifts that are really, you know, poignant, like they can really be seen. We know that new moons are beginnings and full moons are a culmination, and eclipses are like, you know, they're like a checkpoint in our life. It's like we get to a point and we're really beginning to see something, and it's where it illuminates our karmic path. And these events can, you know, they can eclipse us sometimes. So, you know, we really got to look at our life and understand ourselves and know ourselves. It's like a speeding up of time, and it's where a new door opens and one will close. And sometimes we want that. Like for me, what's happening is that, you know, new doors are opening and just some old doors are closing. So I'm happy for what's happening with me, and knowing my chart, I'm able to, you know, work with myself and my psyche. These shifts can be, you know, we can feel jarred by them as well. So I think also, you know, it can give us the push in the right direction, you know, where we're putting something off, and it can give us that final like push to make us break free of something or begin something. And generally with these, they're things that are already going on in our lives anyway, so that it's not a complete shock. They're things that we've been, that have been in the pipeline, but we've not been moving forward on. And endings can be hard, but we've got to look at life that, it's cyclical, that life is, the endings and beginnings and endings. Solar eclipses are where we, have unexpected opportunities, and where we want to move forward and see that we need more than we thought we needed, and we want to move in that direction. And it's an invitation for us to step forward and welcome the good stuff. Lunar eclipses where we have external stuff going on and shifts, and also a lunar eclipse where we become aware of other people's influence on us, and we may want to end that sort of where people have an influence on us. If we look at what's going on in the world with governments and lockdowns and stuff like that, it all ties in the collective, but in our own chart, it's going to be doing something for us personally. And it allows us to see things in a different light, and people in a different light as well. So with this shift, we get a critical, something goes on that's good for us overall on our soul journey. And we can also know that this is serving our soul journey. So sometimes, the releasing of something or purging or something or leaving something behind may not be comfortable, but generally it can be good for our soul journey. And it's our karmic story as well. So now what I want to do is look at Gemini and define what that means. Because ultimately we've got the sun, which is about our personality and our expression. It's our life force. And the moon is our driving force. It's our ego as well. And we can have a healthy ego and unhealthy ego. So we don't want to say that we want to get rid of our ego, which is said in spirituality often, because that's not what we want to do. The other thing I will do after I've looked a bit deeper at this, I will tell you, show you my chart briefly, so you get a better idea on astro.com, so you get a better idea if you're looking at your own chart, what you're looking at. Here I'm using solar fire. Now, if we look at the moon in Gemini, the moon in Gemini will manifest our need for changes and spontaneity, and safety lies in thinking about our feelings and sharing them with others. So with Gemini, we want to share our feelings with others. We can be more talkative. We want to speak with others, and debate as well. And we might have a better ability to keep a cool head, but, we want to make sure that we're keeping our heart in the discussions as well, not just be heartless, because being heartless can discourage other people, as we know that to be true. And harmony and in our thinking and feeling is really important at this time. But these eclipses affect months ahead, and they go in cycles of 19 years, which is fascinating. I'm doing a lot of learning on eclipses at the moment. And with a fellow astrologer, I will be doing a YouTube specifically, probably a good hour and a half on the meaning of eclipses for us, which will be useful to all of us. So with Gemini, if we look at also the meaning of Gemini, the words, so the archetype, it's about communication, it's learning, it's our writing, speaking, it's our thinking left brain, it's about information duality, it's about opinion, it's the trickster, the archetype of the trickster, what there can be lies and about liars, and where we can be cynical and literal and superficial and scattered as well. It's to do with our short-term memory, fluctuating viewpoint, changing this way and that way, rationalizations. And we can see that as well with the COVID thing and lockdowns. It's like we don't know if we're coming or going, and people leading as well don't know if they're coming or going. Rationalizations, siblings, and also to do with logic, our intellectual doubt, instability, it's ever changing, it's the teacher and the scribe, and it's also to do with our short journeys and trading and the merchant as well. If we look at, and the ruler for Gemini is Mercury, so we could look at Mercury and see where that's in our chart as well, maybe, because the rulers are important for us. And with Sagittarius, that's the opposition, so we would somewhat look at that. If we look at the moon as an archetype, we've got what is the moon? It's our ego. It's to do with the womb. It's security, protection, mother. It's the clan, ancestors, family, children, childhood environment in particular. It's the bottom of the chart, the fourth house, you know, if you do or not, now you do. It's to do with our roots. It's our inner world, nurturing, where we want to be protected and protection. It can also be to do with neglect and feeling helpless, and our emotions, our self-image. It's where we can feel touchy, and gender roles, subjective, and our needs. So going on from that, we would then say that with eclipses, you know, you're going to have aspects to them in your own chart. So each chart is going to be aspected differently because of our different times, dates, places of birth. So the time is important because the rising sign changes every couple of hours with, I'm going to show you, can't show you on this chart actually, I can't change it now, but other videos I show how that happens. So the rising sign does change. If actually I can do it here. If you look at the ascendant right now, it's 7 degrees of Scorpio. So the ascendant changes every 2 hours. So watch that ascendant there. You see a ascendant, and that's the MC. So if I go hours ahead, you're just going to see that change into Sagittarius. So if a baby was born right now, it would be rising sign Scorpio, but not right now actually, because this chart's the morning. So not right now. We'd have to go back to now, but I'm just going to show you. So you can see that it becomes 1 degree of Sagittarius. So if we go 2 hours ahead again, there you go. And then it goes 10 degrees of Capricorn. So this is why we're so different, you know, the rising sign changing all of the time. Something I'd like to read here, a bit of information from the Evolutionary School of Astrology, which I'm in part an evolutionary astrologer. That's the type of astrology I do because we look at the soul. That's Jeff Wolf Green and School of Evolutionary Astrology. So lunar eclipses are where our personal and private lives, they pivot or they dime. And the lunar eclipse is a part of a 19-year cycle. And it's also a nodal cycle. And we can be taken by surprise. But in reality, a lunar eclipse brings about already building undercurrents to the surface. So it is about undercurrents that are already going on, and where we're forced then to address them. It can reveal circumstances and relationship issues that we may have had a feeling about, but maybe we're ignoring or downplaying or, you know, avoiding dealing with. And they can also be positive catalysts. So the lunar eclipse could bring about life circumstances to a long sought after mountain's peak and a potent time of circumstances ripening. So for me, you know, touch wood, I say, it's like a ripening. It's an ending, but a ripening of moving on to something. It's where whatever is mobilized will spread with great force. You know, it's like turning up the volume, high volume. And it's best to just, you know, take it easy for a few days and be easy with ourselves and be positive as we can, because our thoughts do affect our outer world. And we want to look at aspects to this eclipse as well. So again, I could go deeper, but what I'm going to do now is share with you my own chart. And this is why it's going to individually, it's going to mean different things for different people. So now I'm showing you my chart, and you can go to get your own chart. If you've got your birth time, you can go to astro.com and put it in. If you need a bit of help with that and you want, I don't really rectify charts, but I can have an idea of rising signs and be a bit helpful. If you don't know, you can book a session with me to look. For me, this moon is happening at 8 degrees. It's going to happen at 8 degrees of Gemini, and I am a Gemini. My sun is in 0 degrees of Gemini, and my moon is 17 degrees of Gemini. So you would look where that, what is that moon doing? So when that moon hits 8 degrees, for me, it's what it's specifically doing for me is that the moon is going to square Lilith. So it's going to square my Lilith, which is in my natal Lilith, is down, where has it gone? It's over here, actually. Normally it's 5 degrees of Pisces. So it's not on the chart, but it's 5 degrees of Pisces. So it's going to square my Lilith, which you can't see on this chart. and it's going to quintile my Chiron. So Chiron, that's a square is a 90-degree angle. It's going to quintile my Chiron, which is healing. It's a wounded healer, and it's also going to quintile my Saturn. So it's got a spiritualized healing element to it going on in there, and to my structure. So I'm very grateful for that. And then it's also going to, the sun is going to square my Lilith as well. So because the sun will, you know, the sun is over here, and that's going to be, you can see there, it's in Sagittarius, and that's also going to square my Lilith at 5 degrees, which I know my Lilith is there at 5 degrees. So you would look at that also. So I think for me, it's definitely about, you know, it's about relationship. It's in my 7th house. It's about endings of relationships. And I know that to be true. Bringing it, it's a culmination, and it's also shining a light on others as well. And I'm grateful for this, you know, it's the shift that I need. So you just, and then it will play out as it plays ahead, you know, over the coming months. And then we'll have this solar eclipse in later, in a few weeks' time, which will be in December, which will be powerful as well. I did say the date there, but I've not got it in front of me now. Let me see the date of that. Actually, it's December the 30th, and it will be a full moon, and it will be in the sign of Cancer, and it will be at, oh no, sorry, let's go here. December the 14th, we're going to have a new moon, and then December the 10th, we're going to have a full moon. The solar eclipse will be on December the 14th. December the 14th is a solar eclipse. So December the 14th, that solar eclipse for me is happening in my 1st house of Sagittarius at 23 degrees for all of us. So it will happen here. And then when that happens, it's going to be aspecting. So I would look at that again. But your aspects are really important to understand, and the rulers and such like. Okay, thanks for watching. And please subscribe if you haven't, and do book a session with me if you want to look at early imprints and wounding and such like, and get some evolution going on for yourself. Okay, catch you later.